How A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones Will End, Part 2, Jon Snow, the King of Winter. The Starks of Winterfell have ruled the North as kings of winter for centuries. In doing so, they have conquered all in the North who claim to be kings. Those houses who didn't bend the knee have been made extinct. Survival houses who were kings but now vassals of the Starks are the Glovers, the Lockies, the Flints, the Slates, the Umbers, the Fishers, Riders, and Blackwood. The Red Kings of the Dreadfort are the only ones who had success fighting off the Starks. It is said that they despise from each other goes back to the Long Night. After the Kings of Winter took total control of the North, no true threat ever came. The South, rage from the Iron Islands and kings from the South came, but with the combined might of the kings they conquered, the Starks beat them back. To me, this sounds like Aegon's conquest, with the Starks playing the role as the Targaryens. And if you look at them, you might see that they're two sides of a coin. The Starks are known to be associated with ice, have dark hair and gray eyes. Similarly, the Targaryens are known to be associated with fire and have silver hair and purple eyes. The Targaryens are known as dragon lords, having a blood bond with dragons. Documents at the Night Fort, the seat of the Night's King, say that the Ward King ruled Sea Dragon Point. The Ward King was a monarch and a skin changer who lived during the Long Night, although his name is not known and was never given to this day. He was allied with the Children of the Forest, but they were defeated by the Kings of Winter of House Stark. The Starks killed his sons, beasts, and Greensingers, but took his daughters as prizes. This gave the Starks warring ability and a bond with direwolves due to the blood right. The last King of Winter was Tormund Stark, who bent the knee to Aegon the Conqueror and handed over the ancient crown of the Kings of Winter to him. This is brought up in the Clash of Kings, saying nobody knows what Aegon did with that crown. Thus, this is the end of the Starks as the Kings of Winter. So, will there be another King of Winter? The title King of Winter is first mentioned by Jon Snow in Game of Thrones, who says, "The old Kings of Winter are down there, sitting on their thrones with their stone walls," talking about the crypts in Winterfell. Now, by happenstance or coincidence, the next time we hear about the Kings of Winter is in reference to Lyanna Stark. Before Ned hears about King Robert being injured, he was dreaming about being in front of her statue in the crypts of Winterfell. Don't approve? Don't approve of what? Of Robert being killed? I doubt they really gave a shit about him. Ned keeping the secret for Lyanna and her being buried there is more likely. Under the influence of Milk of the Poppy, Ned dreams an old dream about a showdown at the Tower of Joy. This dream, as it was in life, his friends ride with him. He and his 7 friends fight off the 3 remaining Kingsguard who were left behind to guard the Tower of Joy, where Lyanna Stark was giving birth at this time. As they came together in a rush of steel and shadow, he could hear Lyanna scream. "Eddard!" she called, as a storm of rose petal blew across a blood-streaked sky as blue as the eyes of death. "Lord Eddard," Lyanna called out again. "Promise me," he whispered. "Promise me." Now Jon talks about a reoccurring dream he keeps having, and it goes like this. "The castle is always empty. Even the ravens are gone from the rookery, and the stables are full of bones. That always scares me. I start to run then, throwing open doors, climbing up the tower 3 steps at a time, screaming for someone, anyone. Then I find myself in front of a door to the crypts. It's black inside. I can see what's spiraling down. Somehow I know I have to go down there, but I don't want to. I'm afraid of what might be waiting for me. The old Kings of Winter are down there, sitting on their thrones with stone wolves at their feet and their iron swords across their laps. But it's not them I'm afraid of. I scream that I'm not a Stark, that this isn't my place, but it's no good. I have to go anyway. So I start down, feeling the walls as I descend with no torch to light the way. It gets darker and darker until I want to scream." Now, this is presented as a dream, but I think it's the future. This is, to me, the present-day Long Night. Everyone is dead or has fled south. Now, while inside Ghost, Bran communicates to Jon about not being afraid of the dark. Now, I think it's very important to remember this in a part that maybe people have overlooked. This comes before Jon is killed and Bran is in the future looking back at Jon while he's inside a ghost after he's been killed. "Jon." The call came from behind him, softer than any whisper, but strong too. Can a shout be silent? He turned his head, searching for his brother, for a glimpse of a lean gray shape moving beneath the trees, but there was nothing, only a werewolf. It seemed to sprout from solid rock, its pale roots twisting up from the myriad of fixtures and hairline cracks. The tree was slender compared to the other weirwoods he had seen, no more than a sapling. Yet it was growing as he watched, its limbs thickening as they reached for the sky. Wary, he circled the smooth white trunk until he came to its face. Red eyes looked at him, fierce eyes that were yet glad to see him. The weirwood had his brother's face. Had his brother always had 3 eyes? Not always, came the silent shout. Not before the crow. He sniffed at the bark, smelling wolf and tree and boy. But behind that, there were other scents. Rich brown smell of earth and the hard gray smell of stone and something else. Something terrible. Death. He knew. He was smelling death. He cringed back, his hair bristling, and bared his fangs. Don't be afraid. I like it in the dark. No one can see you, but you can see them. But first you have to open your eyes. See? Like this. And the tree reached down and touched him. Now, a lot happens here, so let me break it down for you. First, Bran is a full green seer. He has 3 eyes. Jon thinks to himself, has he always had 3 eyes? And Bran is able to read his mind and reply, no, only after I met the raven. Next, Jon, as ghost, sense of smell is heightened, and he smells the tree, and it smells of wolf, tree, and boy, all 3 things that make up Bran. He then smells dirks, rocks, and death. Now, knowing Jon was murdered and the Wildlings may attack the Watch if they found out, the Watch could try to bury Jon's body to cover it up. This could be the reason why Jon smells dirt and rocks. And Bran is trying to steer Jon back into his body because Jon isn't a skilled warrior. Once Jon is no longer afraid of the dark, he opens his eyes to find the light, and that will be when he is resurrected. And when that happens, I believe that this scene will take place. Burning shafts hissed upwards, trailing tongues of fire. Scarecrow brothers tumbled down, black cloaks ablaze. Snow, an eagle cried, as foemen scuttled up like ice spiders. Jon was armored in black ice, but his blade burned red in his fist. As the dead men reached to the top of the wall, he sent them down to die again. He slew a graybeard, a beardless boy, a giant, a gaunt man filled with teeth, a girl with thick red hair. Too late, he recognized Ygritte. She was gone as quick as she appeared. Now, to me, you see Jon Snow armored in black ice. This could be Rhaegar's armor, which could be buried in the crypts of Winterfell. This could also be the armors that belong to the others. Now, Jon being half Stark would be able to take the cold of the armor, and half Targaryen, the heat from the sword. Now, George R. R. Martin describes the other's armor as reflective, camouflaging armor that picks up the images from the things around. Now, it says in that scene, Scarecrow brothers tumbling down, black cloaks ablazing, which would make it seem that he's armored in black ice if it's reflecting the wall and the black from his brothers since he's atop the wall. Now, Dany does also get a vision that we must put into this, and it goes like this. Glowing like a sunset, a red sword was raised in the hand of a blue-eyed king who cast no shadow. Now, I know it does sound like Stannis, and a lot of people want to think that this is Stannis. But let me tell you, if you look at it and look what it says, it's a possibility that it's not Stannis. Now, we know that it says a blue-eyed king who casts no shadow. And we know that Stannis did cast a shadow. The person who did not cast a shadow was Jon Snow. Also, let's go back to Eddard Stark's dream. The blue eyes of death could be Jon, who fought valiantly but still gets turned to a White Walker in order to fly an ice dragon to fulfill the pact that ended the long night. Or it could be Jon was born to fight the blue eyes of death. Either fits, either way, and that's up to you. So that was part 2, Jon Snow, the King of Winter. If you like the way I did this, please subscribe, thumbs up it, spread this across the realm, and in part 3, I'll be back to wrap this up and combine the White Walkers and the Children of the Forest. Until next time, peace and stay sexy.